Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the weekly Whitepill podcast. Or, I guess, yeah, the Whitepill Wednesday podcast. Um, a lot has happened since last week in regards to the Whitepill project and the direction that it's headed in. I've been lucky enough to have the chance to attend what's called. Let me see if I could look it up here. Also, hope everyone's had a great week. Hope everyone's having a great Whitepill Wednesday. Yet another day for Whitepill, and what could go wrong? What could be better, rather? What could be better? That's the right mindset to have. Let me just double check. Yeah, we're recording. Beautiful. So this week, or over the last week, anyways, I've had the chance to attend what's known as the Solana Startup Village. This is essentially an event where, for about a week or so, or 2 weeks rather, the team over at Super Team, which for those who don't know, Super Team it's a global community of people that are looking to spread the or to help facilitate the expansion, that'd be a better word for it, of the Solana ecosystem. And for those who don't know, Solana is a coin essentially. It's a cryptocurrency. So if I look at CoinDesk, also bear with me for 1 second. So there's the basic coins, or not CoinDesk rather, but Coin Exchange. Is Coinstar? No, not that. No, hold on. Crypto Exchange. Jesus. Got to be specific with my language here. Crypto.com. Perfect. I don't know why I didn't just guess that that's a website, but anyways. Come on. So there's the base coins, or I guess what I like to refer to them as base coins. Because look, I am not a crypto expert whatsoever. I am totally new to the space. I don't even have my own wallet set up yet. So I'm still learning, but it's an interesting field. Fun little space to pay attention to, regardless of like the headlines and everything. But in any case, so you have the base coins, or at least what I like to call base coins: Bitcoin, Solana, Ethereum, and a bunch of others. But there are certain coins that, well, it's essentially, from my understanding, from the way that people have explained it to me, is that there's been this evolution. So Bitcoin is the first major one that people knew about, but apparently the way that it's built, like the actual architecture of it, and apologies if I'm butchering it for anyone that's actually smarter that understands this shit, but this is the best way that I understand it. Um, the way that the coin operates, it does not allow for uh, using it effectively to program. Right, for Bitcoin specifically, it wasn't meant for that. It's more of like a storage of value at this point. But nonetheless, it's that's essentially its limitation. And Ethereum was the next evolution of that, where there was more of a programming, I guess, angle or focus on programming on chain to that was used to make the coin. So people can actually create apps that use the blockchain, that utilize it. Now, from my understanding, the limitation with Ethereum is that it was still fairly slow, and there were the fees for using it in software, like the gas fees whenever a coin is sold or bought or transferred or what have you, um, is much higher than the next coin that came after, which is Solana. Now, notice the value is also much cheaper, so naturally you would think, yeah, like being able to use and exchange them uh, would cost a lot less. And from what I can see here, it looks like everything's been going down for the last couple of days, if not even months. What's the I wonder if there's a timeline that I can see. I mean, look, even if we look at Ethereum, right? Let's say for let's say not minutes, 1 month. Boom. It's been going up and down. Okay. Oh, sorry. These are the years. See, I'm so new to this, I can't even read the fucking graphs. But yeah, if you notice, let me actually put 2 weeks. It's been going up slightly, but overall, it's been. I think it's called a bear market. No, hold on. Let me make sure I got those right. Bear versus bull market. Yeah, so bull market is when it's rising, bear market is when it's down. Yeah, so I was there. I knew it. I knew the word. Um, but looks like it's been a bear market for a while. And I guess actually, you know what? Why don't we change the candles to like 1 day? Interesting. In any case, from what people have been telling me, uh, it's a great time. And this is not financial advice, okay? I'm just saying this is what people told me in terms of trends. Crypto's kind of going downhill, which I don't know what that means, whether it's a good time to buy or sell or what have you. I don't understand the timing of the market at all. But even like that being said, Solana is still a pretty great platform to build apps off of if you think that cryptocurrency has some kind of application to what you're building. And so this group called Super Team, their whole existence is trying to push for more opportunities for builders in this space to help them get funding, to do networking events, um, hackathons, and so on and so forth. So they're just trying to create an ecosystem where people that are working on this kind of stuff can come together, chat, meet, what have you, um, and I don't know, just do cool shit. Because even from what little I understand about crypto, and just about everybody that I've told this to that isn't crypto says that this is like one of the basic ideas of why people are behind it. That like this is the next wave. It's not going anywhere. And not only that, but it's really fucking useful for getting around any kind of like any limitations that fiat currency has. I mean, I've tried to get paid in USD from um American businesses before for work, and you would think that like in Canada we would have like a setup where I don't know, the fees are either incredibly cheap or it's just so quick and effective that it doesn't take like days to go through. But no, like it is. It's just it's actually a ridiculous system. If you go through like PayPal and then try to transfer it to your Canadian bank account, the amount of fees that they'll take is, especially like the more that you get paid, it just accumulates, and you're like, why the fuck? Why am I paying this? Like I can drive to the person if I really wanted to. Like they're not really that far from where I live. Just drive, pick up the money, and go. Like that would cost less than doing this. Like this is ridiculous. In some cases, it would be cheaper to like take a plane there and back, depending on how much you get paid. And you would think that the two countries that are like the behemoths of North America, literally, I mean, all it leaves is just Mexico. Um, but you would think that like partners that are so close would have a much better financial system for the average everyday person to access. Because I'm sure when you're moving millions or what have you, or you're a special client with the banks, there's certain perks to that. But in any case, getting paid in American is a pain in the ass. Just trying to figure out like all the different ways that you could go about it, and then you get scalped on the fees. Whereas with crypto, I could just I don't even have to be I could be halfway around the world, and as long as I have an internet connection, I could send money to someone, or I could buy something, or what have you. Like, there's no issue with like conversion fees or anything like that. I mean, I'm sure like maybe if you're trying to exchange for tokens, that gets into a whole different thing. But regardless, there's so much freedom, and not just that, but the one thing that really spooked, not spooked, but like caught my attention during the like freedom convoy here in Canada was the fact that they were able to freeze the bank accounts of truckers, and everyone just kind of went along with it, being like, "Oh yeah, this is actually a good thing." Because look, I'm sure I've stated my politics on this before. But even regardless of like your political stance, if the government can do that to a group of people that you don't like, well, what happens when all of a sudden a new administration comes in somewhere down the road because now they have that power, they know that power can be used for this and actually like you can get away with it. It creates a precedent for the next administration to come in and say, "Huh, well that's an option in our toolbook now." It worked for them, you know, like nobody served jail time. Nobody nobody lost their job over this. The government might have lost like, you know, some popularity and whatnot, but the current administration is literally from the same party as the last one. So clearly it wasn't enough to sway people's votes or cause any great moral panic. I mean, the only thing that I know that came about is a couple of news stories, a ruling by the Supreme Court of Canada, I think, that essentially said it was a violation of people's rights, not just the freezing the bank accounts, but everything else the government did to suppress that protest. And then like a Wall Street Journal opinion piece. Wow, so cool. Right? Like wow, that's so interesting how that happens. They use a wartime measures act, a wartime act to help give them the authority to shut people's bank accounts down. And I don't know if the wartime act was actually used for that justification, but it was used in conjunction with the freezing of people's bank accounts. And so if a government just has that power to do that anytime they want, well, why wouldn't they just turn it on anyone else? Like, why is it that people think, why is it that some people have this impression that, oh, it's fine that it wasn't my group? I'm not part of that group, so I guess it doesn't really matter all that much. When in reality, like political winds change. We live in some very polarizing times. We can swing left just as easily as we can swing right, you know? And so it's only a matter of time. Like once the government has that power, they don't exactly relinquish it. They don't really like. When's the last time you heard of an administration that comes in and says, "Okay, we have way too much power, way too much influence, there's too much bureaucracy. Let's cut that down." The last time they tried that, right in the U.S., they're doing it. Like everyone vehemently was like, "Holy shit, these people are fucking monsters! Cutting aid from starving children, ripping sandwiches out of their mouths." Like right? Like that was the reaction that they had. And I'm not saying that people weren't affected by the cuts or that there wasn't some damage done, but the fact that even like one of the first popular or not popular, but like well popularized approaches to actually cutting down bureaucracy in a major way in the world's largest bureaucracy, arguably in America, it was met with such a vehement, just absolute hate. Like hate is probably the right word for it. Right? So that to me is just a signal that okay, well, they want to hold on to the power and influence that they have because it affords them with certain flexibility with the kind of initiatives and things they want to do. Um, and so this power structure, sorry, I just lost my train of thought there. This power structure that's created as a result of that, once they have more power, right? Like once they have more laws, more influence, more bureaucracy, growth in the government sector, it allows them to do more things. And just as the power keeps accumulating, like it just becomes a part of everyday normal life. Like in Canada, we don't have news and social media. If I go on my Instagram account right now, I'll show you guys for those that don't know. Right, this is one of the powers that I'm talking about, like where they actually just abuse it. So if I go to my Insta, which I'm loading off screen because I do not don't want to pull any hijinks. Right, so check this out. People in Canada can't see this content. In response to Canadian government legislation, news content can't be viewed in Canada. Click here to learn more. This is from the CTV News page, which is a major news organization in Canada. Right, they're banned here, or at least Meta shut off access to them because our government was trying to get these social media companies to pay fees so that they could support the news sector and what they referred to as quote Canadian content. Like how fucked is that? Like I in order to support or like consume the news in my country, I have to like I can't go on social media, which is where like 90 whatever percent of the world gets its news from, right? I can't go on certain social media channels. On X, it's no problem, right? Like if I type in CTV, it'll pop up because Elon Musk doesn't really have that issue, right? And also, if they removed access to Twitter, because here's the thing: if the news organizations can't use Twitter, if they can't post on Twitter, then you're damned sure that they're losing a chunk of revenue. That's ad dollars, that's posts, that's views, that's likes, that's shares. Like all of their concentrated efforts would then have to go on like platform like YouTube. Like if I go on YouTube right now, I'm pretty sure I'd be able to see uh CTV News. Yeah, because they post clips all the time, right? There you go. So they only really have YouTube. So everything except Meta products, YouTube and Twitter. That's all they have, right? So the government decided that this was a great idea because Canadian content has a difficult time in the marketplace competing against American content. And instead of letting the market play itself out and give Canadian content something to strive towards, like as an idea, I realize it's a huge like term. I'm talking like this wouldn't just be news. This would be just about everything that people create out of Canada, right? Instead of letting that environment grow naturally and flourish, they decided to put their foot on the scale or thumb on the scale rather and tip it in the direction where it forces news media and social media channels to comply to certain standards, right? That doesn't really sound all that free to me. That you're because you don't want to deal with the brunt of the market, you decide to force these people to pay. Like for what? Because here's the thing, like these journalists, right? They can use those platforms for free. You don't need any money to set up an account. Social media is free. That's one of the greatest and also like poisonous things about it is that it's essentially free. You don't have to pay anything. Now we learned years ago, obviously, that the payment that you're actually giving is the ad dollars, the clicks, the purchases that you make through the platform, so on and so forth. Right? It allows the marketers to get in and market their products to whoever in the world, right? Depending on their clientele. But those journalists, like they're part of that too. They get to go out and make their posts and write about all this stuff. So this complaint that I heard from the government, like, oh, we have to defend them. It's like, shouldn't they be paying Facebook and Instagram and all these other platforms for what they allow them to do? Like, if we're really gonna think about who should pay who, I don't think it's like the other way around. You guys get all the benefits. The government has like the major governments have accounts on Twitter and they benefit from their reach. They're able to get the news out in time, deal with emergencies, or push their politics and show political ads and interviews and podcasts. Like there's a major benefit that they get out of this too. So to sit there and pretend that it's these pernicious, pervasive social media companies that are just they're making it so hard for Canadian media to survive. It's like, yeah, maybe Canadian media should step it up. How's about we make some better shit? How's about we actually make something to compete with the rest of the world? Anyways, so when that power came about, when this law came about, where where they forced these companies to pay them, otherwise they'd have to block their usage in Canada for certain channels. Um, that's one of the things that I'm talking about is that they can just do that, and I don't see that going away anytime soon because it wasn't even an election issue. Nobody talked about it in the debates. You don't really hear people complaining about it. There's not really any discussion that's happening in the mainstream that I'm aware of, right? And that doesn't mean that it's not happening. It's just there's not really that much of a stink about it. The conservatives will get up and they'll say something here and there, but I I don't know. Liberals seem to be fine with it. They're okay with it. I mean, we're subsidizing the wages of journalists by 25%, I'm pretty sure. Canadian law that subsidizes Canadian journalism. It's like 25%. Yeah, the Online News Act gives the CRTC the responsibility to administer a new mandatory bargaining process between news organizations in Canada and the largest online platforms that distribute their content. right? So where's the actual law? Oh, come on. No, hold on. Perplexity will save us. Let's find this link. No, because I want to actually find the law. There's a page that actually says that, yeah, 25% of wages are subsidized by the government. So effectively, like, just about every media organization is 25%, like a quarter owned by the government. Oh, come on. Where is it? Is it the tax credit? Is this it? Yeah. This is it. Here we go. The Canadian Journalism Labor Tax Credit is a refundable tax credit that is available to an organization that is a corporation, a trust, or a partnership. The credit is calculated by applying a rate of 25% to the total qualifying labor expenditure incurred for a period in the tax year beginning on or after January 1st, 2019. Okay, so labor. Does for the labor, the amount of labor or the amount of money that goes towards spending on labor, so actually retaining people, salaries, bonuses, all that, 25% of that, there's a tax credit for these organizations. So they can write it on their taxes saying the government owes me 25% of such and such number. Right? So they just get to do that. So if they can do that, right, and then we see the trucker convoy and we see how the government squashed them. Well, regardless of how you feel about it politically, as I started this whole point off, right? Regardless of how you feel about it or what opinions you may have, that power can just as easily be turned on you. And so, what happens when you have no access to money? All your accounts, everything gone. Imagine waking up and that's your new reality. How long would you last before you're moving back in with your parents or you're homeless? How long do you think that would take? Right? So, you'll sell off a couple things here and there, but your job pays you into that bank account. And what, like, unless you're lucky enough to work a job where they can actually hand you cash, because most places won't do that unless it's like under the table or something like that, or like I guess you're rich enough to ask clients to do that. Nobody's gonna pay you in anything that is not reliant on a banking system. So you sell your laptop, you sell, a couple like racks of clothes or your TV or what have you, but like long term, what do you have to do? Or what can you do rather? What are the options that are left to you? And crypto is a good hedge against that because look, if in the future, right, acts by governments get more prevalent like that, well, crypto is going to be a real problem for them. And anybody that's able to understand crypto is not going to be reliant on that power. I mean, there have been examples. I talked to one of the guys at the startup village there, where let me see here, video of UK man being questioned over bank withdrawal. See, this is the weird thing. Like, it sounds conspiratorial as fuck, and it sounds loony. But then when you actually see the examples of this in real life, it's really fucking concerning. Let me see if I can find this video. Here's a video of, I guess I'm looking for the one in the UK, but this one is in America. It looks like. So let's play that. Let's see what happens. Oh, uno momento. I have to fix the browser audio. Uno momento. Boom. Let's get it.
It's my money. I'm allowed to withdraw from my own bank.
I don't know if you've seen this video floating around.
Oh my, I don't want to see commentary. This is gay. No. No, this is stupid. Oh, I have to go on TikTok? God damn it. All right. Is this it?
What are you doing, sir? I'm filming you and I'm recording this conversation. I'm coming to bank to withdraw.
Can I just see the raw video? Seeing it, I don't want to. I hate that new format where it's like a guy or a girl or whatever, and they're just shaking their head. Oh, here we go. This is the wrong one. Thank you.
Can I have a word with I'm now in Santander Bank, right? What are you doing, sir? I'm filming you and I'm recording this conversation. I'm coming to bank to withdraw £2,500. Are you going to let me? I've got £11,500 in my account. Are you going to let me? Are you going to let me to have the money or not? Hello, are you going to let me have the money or not? Huh?
Unfortunately, I can't remove that restriction that's on there.
You can't remove this restriction. You can't remove the restriction, okay. After your colleague told me that I'm a liar, yeah? So your colleague told me I'm a liar yesterday. I've come in to withdraw £2,500, yeah? And you're not going to let me have my money today, is that right?
Right, you can still use your card.
I'm not, to answer the question, please, yeah? I know I can still use my card. Are you going to let me withdraw £2,500 from my account today, yes or no, in the branch?
And what is the £2,500 for, Mr. Jackson?
Buying a motorbike for my son.
Right, okay, so have you got any evidence of the motorbike you...
No, I haven't got any evidence of a motorbike at all, no, I haven't got it, so I don't know what one I'm getting yet.
Okay, so if you don't know what you're getting, how do you know how much you need?
Because I've got a budget of £2,500 for the motorbike, so that's why I want to withdraw £2,500 from my account today.
Right,
Yeah.
so when you find the bike for your son, if you can show us some evidence of that.
So you're not. So I need to show you evidence. So I need to show you evidence. I'm doing it. Really?
You can't film me without my permission, sir. You
Really?
cannot film
Right.
me.
So you're not going to give me the money, no?
I'm gonna hang up this immediately.
Absolute joke, this
I'm gonna
place.
call the security.
Absolute joke. You're an absolute joke, this place. Won't let me draw out my money. It's a fucking joke.
Okay, so couple things there. One, the fact like he shouldn't even have to disclose what the fuck he's gonna spend the money for. Like, eat shit, it's my money. What are you talking about? What? Whose fucking business is that? If I were to take, there's that famous scene at the beginning of the show called The Ozarks, or just Ozarks. Great show on Netflix. It's kind of like Breaking Bad, but for the Appalachians, I guess. But not, well, drugs are kind of involved, but not really. Anyways, that's besides the point. There's a scene, spoiler alert, at the beginning of the show, in the first episode, where the main character is tasked with Jason Bateman. He's tasked with withdrawing all of the money of the cartel at once and moving it to a different bank in a different location, and he has to do it to prove his loyalty. And so he goes to the bank and he tells them, I'm withdrawing all the millions, and you guys better have them in duffel bags by the time that I get there, because I'm just looking to get in and out. And he walks into the safe room, and like the FBI is there, and they hold like a poster up saying like, if you're in distress, like blink twice or whatever the fuck. And he's like, if I want to take all the money out and put it in a swimming pool and swim in it like fucking Scrooge McDuck, then I have that absolute right. Are you fucking kidding me? And I realize that that is an outlandish example, but the point is the same. Like, as I've said before, the time that we have in our bank accounts, part of the reason of its value is that that is a representation of the amount of time that we've spent on this planet, right? Whenever you're expending any money, that's like, oh, that cost you some time to make, right? And if you think about it that way, it adds to the value. Like, it's not just a number. Like, you have to understand, like, that is the value of like the amount of time that you've spent on this planet just doing shit, right? When you're forgetting it from your your work, not just like a stipend or whatever the hell. But in any case, right? It's not any of their fucking business. And this argument of like, oh well, if you had nothing to hide, then you just tell us the truth. Well, why is it that they get to spend money on whatever the fuck? They get to spend our money on whatever the shit, and there's no there is like an explanation, but whenever it's put under scrutiny, everyone's like, oh, it was necessary expenditure, it had to happen. Or all the things that the government spends money on that we don't know about. Like, that cuts both ways. You can't just impose that standard and then not follow through, right? Or how banks, like the 2008 financial crisis, did anybody know? Did any of the people know who had their money in all of those banks? Did any of them really know what was going on? The kind of fucking tomfoolery they were pulling with their money? People lost their homes, their businesses, their livelihoods. There were plenty of people that commit suicide as a result of this. Families destroyed. Entire communities wiped out. And for what? So they could see their number go up? No, that is like that is the most incredulous thing I've ever fucking heard. And there's plenty of videos like this where people just, they go to their bank and they're getting told by the people, oh, you have to justify it, you have to explain it. Which is the absolute most ridiculous thing ever, and people should push back on it with every chance they get. Unable to withdraw funds. Bank. There's another video of a UK. No, sorry, that was the UK one. I'm wondering if there's another video that I could find on this. But in any case, so this stuff is actually happening. And I've heard of a personal story. Now, this is just an anecdote of a gentleman whose father was taking out like 2,000 from his account because like they needed to purchase something for the house or whatever, and the teller asked him for an explanation as to why this money was being spent. Like that's none of your fucking business. It's absolutely none of your fucking business what I spend my money on. Like that's not even saying that, oh, we shouldn't have some kind of like slight surveillance or basic surveillance system set up so that we could detect money laundering or crime, or like, yes, obviously we should. But the average everyday person that's withdrawing fucking 2K or 4K or whatever, like they're not committing crimes. That doesn't just happen. The average person just looking to fucking pay bills and pay rent and buy stuff or what have you. It's none of their fucking business. So crypto, right, where this whole circle or this talk, the circular talk is leading to, crypto allows you flexibility with that. So I don't need anyone's permission. I don't need anyone's guidance. If I want to fucking dump all my shit into stake and gamble it away as crypto, then by all means, that's my right. Or if you want to just buy whatever. If you want to buy drugs on the internet, by all means, yeah. Like, why would you bother going to a street dealer when you can just order it online, where the reputations of those people is staked on their ability to provide clean drugs? Which these days, if you're a consumer, like, you have to be really careful about, because there's just fentanyl and fucking everything. Why would I bother risking that? Why do I have to go to a crack house or know some shady guy that works at a bar or what have you, when I can just buy it for somebody online? There's a replacement policy. They're like very solid on reviews. Like that was the whole cool thing about the Silk Road. And I'm not even advocating for drug use here. I'm just saying that if I was like a hard drug user, I would much rather have that stuff guaranteed to be clean, or as clean as possible, with no bullshit. And the only reason it seems sketchy is just because you don't get to meet the person. Like what? Like the fact that you get to meet that guy that sells you coke is like better. Like, I don't know. I don't really see the benefit of that. I never bought coke, so I guess that's maybe that's why. I don't know. Maybe they're actually good guys to hang around with, but not from what I've heard. Right? So yeah, absolutely. People should have the self sovereignty to buy whatever the fuck they want. As long as like they're not actively like hurting people, like okay, fine. That's your right, or a freedom that you should have rather. And so circling back to all the Solana stuff, right? Crypto's the new wave. That's the understanding that I've come to, like many other people have. And so some of these people have gotten together and created organizations like, yeah, so Solana Startup Village. Or this is one of the events they're having. Super Team is the name of the organization. And so they have this this little spot down by the water in Toronto where they've rented out some space where people can come by, they can build stuff, they can network, they can join the hackathon, right? All these things. They've been having these events throughout the last 2 weeks, which have been really fucking cool. I've had a chance to go. Yeah, it's right on the water. Beautiful scenery. If anyone is in Toronto and is listening to this, highly recommend going. It's a great time. Some of the friendliest people you'll ever meet. Like I said, as an outsider, I came in not having known anybody, not having built anything, not having really had any interest in this kind of stuff. And then within a week, I was like fully convinced and sold. I've had the luck to I've had the good luck to have this chance to sit down with some really smart people that are working on building cool shit in crypto. Now there's obviously that scammy element to it, or the fact that like this is just a huge gamble and it won't work out. But I didn't really meet all that many people that were like creating something that like had like absolutely no value, right? Or we're just like launching a coin, like a meme coin, right? Like we actually, the people that I've talked to on Pump, like about Pump.fun, they all had like very, very negative reaction towards it. Just about every single person that I spoke to, they were like, "Look, this is a reality of the crypto world. We get it. Um, but let me just see here. Hold on. This is I don't want this to keep flipping. Sort by market cap. There we go. Right, there's all these like stupid little shitty fucking coins that are like I don't know, like what value do they really have? It feels like you're just kind of buying it so that you could eventually snipe it or get in on the coin at an appropriate time, make your money and get the fuck out. Right? Like I don't like what is this community? What do they do? Like what? Like people just posting memes and chatting with each other? I don't get it. Yeah, and people just pumping other coins. Like it's just a sniper's market, right? Like that's what Pump.fun is. Like that's a lottery. A meme comes out and people look to just absolutely capitalize the shit on it. Right, like look how far back it goes. Right, at one point it was worth 0.01 cent. It was worth 1 cent and went up to 70. It's 70x'd. That's pretty fucking good if you got in the bottom and you got a ton of coins. Right? And so a lot of the people, yeah, that I spoke with were actually not against it in the sense that like they wished for it to not be real, but they just saw it, from my understanding, as like a misuse of the type of things that could be done with crypto. And by all means, like I don't think any of, from what I remember, none of them really said that like, oh, this should be like banned outright. No, they're all like they're all fairly like realistic with their expectations. Like they knew that okay, well this is just a part of it. Some people are gonna gamble with it. Just like they do with money. It's literally no different, except it's so much easier to do with crypto. Right? Because you don't need to go anywhere. In some cases, like you can just like fake your ID or what have you. You could be anyone doing this stuff. And then there's also the automation side of it. The amount of bots that have been set up that are constantly scouring the net for these new coins and people that are capitalizing on memes. So they'll see like a trend and then they'll like take the picture and then just like make the coin about it. Um, like stonks. That's literally just like a meme. Uh, Sigma, the combination of two memes with the American Psycho, Christian Bale face, and just the Sigma. Yeah, there's a lot of these. I don't know how many of these are actually useful projects of people building shit, but in any case, there's also that, right? There's that acceptance that like this is actually just crazy chaotic place where I'm pretty sure if I look up, there's this one infographic that shows Solana, pump.fun infographic showing revenue for platform. Let me see if I can find it. Showing trader gains versus platform. There's this one infographic that CoffeeZilla showed where it basically showed how much money the platform was making versus how much money people were making on trades. Because the rules in Pump.fun is that if a coin does not reach a certain market cap, the entire value of it, all of the Solana, because this is all based on the Solana blockchain, from my understanding, it all gets wiped back to the platform. So if your coin is not valuable enough, all of that goes down. Let me see here. Only 3% of traders on pump.fun have made over 1,000. And this is last August. Right? So let me see here. Oh, there's actually a website that's a leaderboard. Holy shit. There's a wallet that's made $41 million on realized profit. Whoa. That's nuts. In any case, right, it says here 60% of traders on pump.fun lost money. So only 40% of people, roughly 40% of people on the platform, as of the writing of this article, made anything. And by anything is like, I mean, look at that. Profitable, that just means you made more than zero. This whole pie chart right here, right? Made over 100. An even bigger slice. Well, sorry, not an even bigger. Like maybe a third of that slice. So I would say that's like, it's close to 30% that were profitable that just made it above zero. Almost 10% that made over 100. And maybe 4% that made over $1,000. And only a sliver of that, not even 1%, made over $10,000. That's nuts. That's a crazy differential. That is an insane differential. And the revenue's constantly been going up, so I'd love to see an updated chart of this, but though I don't know if there is one. In any case, right, this kind of pumping and dumping, all these kind of like this meme fuckery, it's just a part of the crypto market, and we have to get used to it, right? It doesn't certainly help the reputation, but if people want to do it, by all means, they should have the freedom to do it. Like, yeah, if you want to buy a million hot mom coins, by all means, you should have the freedom to do that. Are they? Hold on, I'm gonna open. All right, there's just more pictures of hot moms in the comments. What else would I expect? Yeah, this fucking stupid coin started at a valuation of 8 cents and has now plummeted to 7 cents. Went up and down and it peaked at 11 cents. Or rather, sorry. I guess that's, I can't, no, that's not USD price. That's 0.1 SOL. My mistake. So it's not cents, it's SOL. Right. So the people that I spoke to in the community, they had their own opinions about it. Some liked it, some didn't. Some agree with this, some didn't. Basically, all of them recognized that even though it's crazy, it's part of the ecosystem. And so despite that, they were still building some actually cool shit. Like one group is called Society. Let me see here. There he is. So they want to build a platform, or a game rather, a game world within Discord that people can access to use all the different apps that are built on the blockchain. Because there are certain like apps that you actually use the blockchain in their code that people can use. They're like built on crypto. How they build it on blockchain, I do not know. I don't quite understand it, but it is a possible thing. More so with Solana, as I said before. Financial services, digital payment processing, of course, that's a big part of it. You know, dealing with your finances there. Chain analysis, financial institutions monitor the exchange of crypto. Of course, you got monitoring apps. Chainlink is an enterprise-grade infrastructure which helps users connect smart contract. Okay, that's just too many words. Okay, that's an app that you can use to develop apps. Okay, cool. Google has an app on it as well. Helps doctors securely manage and gather insights on sensitive health information. Interesting. So that anonymizes it through the blockchain. Okay, that's cool. Oh yeah, there's also a company that it's not on the page here, but there's a company that they have a dash cam where for every like kilometer or mile or what have you, you get a certain amount of coins in their own currency, and that the reason that being the reason for that is because that data that you took, that video, is then used to be sold to various companies that are looking to acquire spatial data for the world. So kind of like how Google Maps took that and they created, Google Maps and Street View and all that. There are companies that, like the one that made Pokemon Go. And I've talked about this in other podcasts, but yeah, Niantic Labs, they pivoted to um, having a spatial platform. So all the data, all the photos that people took of all the Pokemon and everything in the world, they were able to use to sell to companies that are like building automation, building robots, building what have you, right? Just people that are mapping the world by playing these silly games. They were able to collect this data and be able to sell it. So that dash cam company does the same thing, except now you have a dash cam and you get paid for having one. Now, like privacy, security, location data, how is that linked to your profile, the anonymity of it? I don't know. I would have to look into it. But sounds like an interesting idea, right? Why have a dash cam that's just a dash cam when you can have one that actually pays you? You know. So there's all these apps. Society is another one, or Society is rather a platform where you can access these apps. I interviewed the creator of it and spoke to some of the guys working on the project. You'll be able to like play games and whatnot, but instead of having to like flip to all these different websites to use these apps, you can actually like be a character in the world and just walk around. There's also one, I forget the name of it, but they're looking to feature. Oh, Loomdot. Here it is. So Loomdot, their basic idea is a they want to build a platform for authors that are looking to self-publish, be able to put their books onto this library, because apparently the way that it works for like Audible or Amazon or any of the giant ebook retailers is the author, like the profit split differential is never in favor of the authors. Like, hold on, what is the profit split differential for self-published authors when selling on Amazon Books or Audible? Because I'm pretty sure it's kind of like the same way that Spotify pays people like 0.00001 cent for every stream, essentially. And you can't, even if you make it big, even if you have millions of streams, it's not really a money hound. So Amazon ebook royalties, 35%. So you get a third of the profits. Oh, there's another royalty option where it's 70% in certain other territories. So I guess it just depends on the territory. For Audible, it's 40% or 25% of the net sales. And Audible deducts 50% of the retail price upfront for operational costs, reducing the base for royalty calculations. So right off the bat, they take off 50%. Jesus fuck. That is awful. That is traumatic. That is not the Salulu. So these guys here at Loomdot, they want to change that. They want to also make ebooks exciting and make them look more like websites and actually have them more more entertaining, more immersive, right? Which would be cool. It would be cool to see that. Do they have anything like that on their website? Oh, I guess they don't. But yeah, they already have a bunch of authors. If you're looking to self-publish, check them out. I don't know if what the actual profit split is, but the guy that I spoke to that's working on building it, they are actively trying to fight for that, because there is that gap in the ecosystem. Like, just take small percentage points off of people publishing their ebooks, and like they pay the hosting fees for the files themselves, and people can just access them whenever, right, or download them. Like how much space could that possibly take up, right? Like how much bandwidth could it actually take up? I wouldn't imagine it's a lot. Ebooks are typically light, but anyways, in any case, just another interesting app that's getting built. There's another one that I can't think of. Oh, I don't remember the name, but yeah, I met a lot of interesting people building all these apps and whatnot. They were kind enough to, spare some time and sit down and have a conversation with me, which is really cool because I never really get to interact with people from crypto in my day-to-day life. And it was great to be able to actually speak to these people as an outsider, um, which I think they liked as well, because one of the things that I've learned about this space is that, at least like in the builder and like the hackathon kind of areas, um, there's always an edge to communications, the way that people talk, because there's always some kind of negotiation going around. Like for the most part, like it's nice and everyone's open, but there are some certain people that are just looking for that edge and looking to compete. And this isn't any fault against them. It's just it creates that kind of environment where social interactions are to an extent like calculated and people are more guarded. Um, doesn't happen like for everyone, but it's just one of the things that I noticed that like yeah, it could be like that. Um, but it was really cool getting to know all these people and just through like random interactions and having little chats with them. So shout out to them, shout out to Society, and shout out to Loomdot and Super Team. Let me see if I can go back to their page here. Yeah, shout out to Super Team. And yeah, if you're interested in learning about crypto and not just like watching videos, but having the chance to sit down with some people and just ask as many stupid, silly questions, there's plenty of organizations like this that are having meetups every week in just about every country. So I would highly recommend that that people reach out. Yeah, they have a thing in India, Vietnam, Germany, Nigeria, UAE, UK, Balkan, Malaysia, France, Canada, Singapore, Japan, Poland, Korea, and this is just one organization. There's tons of these. Canada's actually kind of small. I didn't think their team would be this small. But yeah, highly encourage everyone to actually go out to like these events if you're interested in this kind of space and learning more about it, because it is the next wave, as I said, and it certainly beats to get in now than having to keep up later. And even I'm super late. Like I ideally should have like been learning this stuff during COVID, but hey, it is what it is. Can't turn back time. But that's basically what I've been up to, and so I've had the chance to, in this space, um, start working on the next edition of the Whitepill project, or the next iteration, the next step in it. And basically, what that looks like is the platform that I was talking about like 2 podcasts ago or whatever. Let me see if I can find that episode. Whoops, that's youtube.com, not .com. Whoopsie daisies. Oh, I guess it was alive. Yeah, I haven't posted the video yet. Another update. Got a huge backlog of videos that I'm working through, at least 4 or 5 episodes. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be a lot of fun to release. But yeah, politics reimagined. So in this episode, if you haven't listened to it, I essentially covered my exploration of this idea of what if we took the way that people interact with the political process and we changed that. So right now, we vote in our various elections, whether it's municipal, provincial, state, federal, once every however many years. Besides that, most people are too busy with their 9 to 5 or anything to typically go and either do protests or write into their representatives or go and meet with them or try to force any kind of other political change. I'm not saying that people don't. I'm just saying that we don't engage with that process organically and naturally in a way that is just part of like um the common way of life, even though it should be, because at least on the local level, it things matter a lot more. Like I care if my garbage is going to get picked up more than I do about like immigration policy or anything like that. Because at the end of the day, like I can't affect immigration policy. I don't have millions of dollars. I don't have a lobby. I'm not part of some big think tank, right? As an individual, it's limited. The only thing I can do is really in my power is convince other people, by talking to them and learning from them and making concise arguments and what have you. But even then, like most people are going to make the decision for themselves anyways. So no no amount of preaching is actually going to get through to people at a certain point, right? And so instead of preaching and trying to pay attention to culture war issues or anything else, I want to envision a world where people have people are more empowered to engage with the political process that actually affects their day-to-day life in a way that is easy to understand, that is easy to act on, and also informs the people of all the different ways they can keep their politicians in line. Because accountability is the system only works if people hold the representatives accountable, and just having news stories or scandals or what have you really isn't enough, because at the end of the day the parties decide amongst themselves what they want to do. It's like, unless people start showing up to their house or threatening to vote or to pull funding or to boycott or what have you, like unless there's some actual change that happens, unless like a riot or something breaks out, there's not really there's not really any change that happens in the way of accountability. And even then, if those forms of civil engagement or civic, not civil, not always civil, uh, if even if those forms of civic engagement go through, like they don't have to obey it. They could just do whatever the fuck they want, especially in countries that uh, don't have uh, democracy as a or democratic values as one of the things that they uphold, right? The government just casually just says, "Oh no, fuck that. We're not going to do that." Like, no thanks. Why would we bother? We have the power to squash this, so we're going to do exactly that, right? And so I want to envision a world where that's different, where people actually are more empowered, at least in the free democratic areas where they can be. Um, and the idea of that right now is just like basically an app or some kind of a platform where people can go write some approximate data, like here's the age range, here is my gender or not, depends up to them, whatever they want to include. And based on all these different parameters, like how the range in their salary or in what kind of a market they work in, blue collar, white collar, what have you. It would give them a list of certain initiatives that are happening within their area that would potentially be interesting to them because it directly impacts their life. Right? Like, for example, here in Toronto, this is an example that I mentioned earlier. Um, the ferry system in 2019, there was a let me see if I can find the video. Yeah, here it is. In 2019, there was a contract to replace the ferries in Toronto with EVs because the gas ones or whatever the fuck they run on, diesel or what have you, they're breaking down. They're very, very old. And so these new EV ferries, they quoted the government at, I think, 92 million, right? But what they lacked to do, the people that were pushing for this contract, so city representatives and also the business partners, right? The people that are bidding on the contract, what they failed to do was to give an estimate of how much it would cost for the fucking batteries and for changing the port system so that these ferries can plug in or, dock or what have you, right? They just straight up just didn't mention it. So, like, not even 3 weeks ago in City Hall, they had this meeting where these people were questioned, right, on March 27th, says so right here, about this money. Like, did they at all, in any way, shape, or form, put this into consideration so that the city of Toronto, the people of Toronto, would have an idea of where their tax dollars are going? Because at the end of the day, like, they're using government money, which is our money, which is our time. So they better be fucking careful with it because our time is not infinite. Right? And so this is basically how that went down.
CEO, different DCMs, different everybody, different mayor, decision to actually purchase that went through council. And was there any provision at that time for inshore infrastructure or any charging facilities?
Madam Speaker, no, not at that time.
Not at that time. So I believe that when we came back to look at the final price tag on the ferries, I think at that point a motion was moved saying, what about the inshore infrastructure, which had been contemplated but never costed, correct?
That's correct.
And at what point did we discover that if we're going to buy electric ferries, they have to be plugged in? At what moment did that light bulb go off?
Madam Speaker, in July 2024, we brought an updated number to Council through the variance report, identifying $42 million for shoreside infrastructure charging that would be required with the 2 electric ferries.
However, the actual charging inshore infrastructure was we have to move the dock wall, we have to make space because they're big ferries. The actual cost to plug them in wasn't contemplated until recently. Am I correct or not?
Madam Speaker, I can answer that that is correct, and in July it was still an estimate at that time for what those costs would be.
I'm not talking about an estimate. I'm talking about if you're going to buy an electric car, would you not think you'd know where you're going to plug that in order to make the purchase, correct?
Correct.
So none of the assumptions about docking, charging, anything related to these ferries were made from the previous administration, the previous mayor, the previous senior staff. It hasn't happened until now. Am I correct?
The capital plan started to identify electric infrastructure that would be required in the 2024 capital budget.
Oh, I'm talking about earlier. I'm talking about when we decided to buy these.
That's the earliest I can trace back to it.
Well, 2019, there was a decision to buy electric ferries, but no decision to have inshore infrastructure that met the size, no decision to make to have a charging facility. So that's all new and in front of us today. I think I'm right about that, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. CEO.
That's it. Like, what more needs to be said? Right? So a major project that would theoretically affect the lives of thousands of people, because there's plenty of people that not only take the ferry in the summer and in the spring and, you know, excuse me, in the time that you can, except the winter. But there's also people that live on the island, right? Like that's a whole community right there. And all the tourists that we get and all the various, you know, people that eventually make their way to the island, because that's the place to be. It's a great fucking place. Toronto Island. It used to be the Las Vegas of Canada during the Prohibition era, because in America what they would do is they would ship their booze up here because we didn't have Prohibition, or if we did, it wasn't nearly to the same extent that they had in America, and so people would just party. It's got a great history to it. Great fucking place. Amazing place for day drinking. Great views. So many beaches, even a nude beach. It's not as sexy as you think, though, because it's all just, you know, people that are at that stage in their life and they're very comfortable with being nude. And typically it doesn't happen until you're 70, 60, you know? Like, it's not, you're not going to find a lot of sexy singles on a nude beach. But in any case, airplane show, there's like a kids park. It's great. It's a great little place that a lot of Torontonians use. And so the consultation that would involve using our tax dollars to create some new infrastructure for this hub, right, of business and entertainment was just not consulted. And nobody knew about it. I didn't even know about it until 3 weeks ago. I had no idea. I had heard in passing in the news that, oh yeah, they're looking to get other ferries. Like, okay, cool. But who is the person that got the contract? Who's the person that voted for it? Which politicians voted for it? Which ones didn't? Was there any given reason that they didn't vote for it or they did? Right? All these little points of data, I feel like, now exist in the public sphere to the point where all it takes is just aggregating them and making them known and making them not only easy to understand, but also making them not so insurmountable. Like, if there was a public hearing on this, right? I didn't know about it. Would have been great to go. You know, just to at least hear what's going on. Or any public hearing for that matter that takes place in my neighborhood that affects my daily life. Like, yeah, I would much rather be a willing participant in that kind of process. Because at least then I could go. Right? Like, I know where my politicians' offices are. I can look them up. I know where the representative office is. I don't need to write them an email. I could just show up. And I could voice my views. Right? And that's a lot different than somebody that's living in Ottawa or someone that's living in DC or Moscow or what have you, right? So, in terms of this platform, right, I went to the Solana Startup Village and I started working on it, and I came up with a couple of cool things. Thanks to some really good feedback from the people there. For one, there's actually a huge portal of sites and apps that already have a lot of work done on this, actually. So there's this thing called the Toronto Open Data Portal, where you can go in the catalog and they have data on just about everything in the city, or everything that is open and accessible. Like here, they have a ticket count for Toronto Island Ferry, right? Like when the ticket was purchased, how many, so you can actually see rates of people that use this service. But, you know, that's just the data. Now, they do have this gallery here where this is actually the interesting stuff. So this is where people have taken that data and they've created something cool with it. So there's basic stuff naturally, you know, like Cycle Now, which is an app where you could see like all the ride sharing, the bike sharing stuff, right? That's pretty useful. It's pretty handy. It's good to know for people. Transit, you know, taking the transit data from the city. Easily one of the best apps that you can use for transit. It's also free. It's great. Go Skate Toronto. No, you can see all the different rinks on a single app. Don't have to browse all these different community websites. It's all in a single place. You know what the times are, if you can rent the space, yada yada yada. More transit stuff. More transit stuff. Here's another project on water quality. Right. If you're going swimming in the lake, would be cool to know. You know just how clean it is, and it's there because all the data is put up on the city website. It just took somebody the time to actually aggregate it and make something of it. Here's another one that helps homeowners keep track of their home maintenance and garbage collection schedule and all that. Right, that's pretty useful. That's pretty fucking useful. Um, Bike share, some more bike share stuff. Short-term rentals. If you want to come to Toronto and do, oh wait, oh yeah. It's essentially a website where you can see like short-term rentals, bike space, and other bike sharing app. Here's a thing about city councilors. This is a great resource. This one will actually give you a chance to see all the members of council and check it out. I could see her absent rate. She's had 99 absences. Number of yes votes, number of no votes, and you can see her full voting record right here. For everything going back to 2022, which is, I guess, when this started, right? This is for the election, the speaker and the deputy speaker. Tells you the date, so you can actually correlate this with whatever they were voting on. If you wanted to get minutes of the actual meeting and what was said and what was done, you could cross-reference this data with the meeting minutes that are taken every single time there's a city council meeting, or just about every single time, from my understanding. The housing action plan, review of the order paper. Like, I don't even know what all these are. You'd have to look them up and do more research, but nonetheless, there's already a ton of information on their voting record. And it's, put all in this one neat place. But this could actually be very, very useful for me, and for anyone else for that matter, that wants to better understand why their politicians are voting the way that they are. And this is just one of them. Who's the worst one for attendance rate, I'm wondering? That's 11%. 20% absent rate. This guy's absent 20% of the time. If I came into work 1/5 of the time, I'd be fucking fired. Now, I digress, right? I don't know what it is that these people do on a daily basis. Like, do you really have to go to these meetings? An absolute necessity if you're not on if it's not a concern of yours? Should you really have an ear to everything that's happening in the city? I don't know, but it would be interesting to learn. And thanks to this data, I can. But I mean, there's also people like this, 1.7%. Why is it that she's only been absent for so little? Or 5% here. Or even, 5.9, right? So there's some more data. This is for like food banks, more ice skating rinks, the Canadian Urban Data Center, which is to provide awareness of the vast array of urban and non-urban Canadian data. Okay, interesting. Not sure what that means. An LLM that helps you figure out community safety measures that you can take depending on the crime that's happening in your area. And some tenants' rights renovation watch website to show you if there's any renovations happening in your neighborhood. Finding your perfect Toronto neighborhood. So you can see demographics, socio-income, and facilities. Gotta Go TO, which displays washrooms from the Toronto open data alongside crowdsourced public washrooms on one simple to use map. I'm actually interested in this. Where's the holy shit, there's just a map of all the shitters. Okay, blessed. Emergency cooling center. Oh, that's good to know. It's a 24-hour emergency cooling center. Whoa, interesting. Intercontinental Hotel. Yeah, it has a bathroom. Go in the front street doors, up the stairs, and to the left of reception. Oh, wow, it actually tells you, like, where to go. There's a shower. Lovely. Disabled bathrooms. Hell yeah, dude. This is great. Oh, yeah, drinking fountains. That's pretty useful. That's actually pretty useful. Whoa. That's a cool toilet. I've never seen one of those before. Closed for season. Interesting. Oh, 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. And it tells you the time that the toilet is open. Yeah, so instead of pissing in the street, you can actually use this app or this map or what have you. Right on. What else is there? All the trees across Toronto. City Council vote visualizer, I guess. Okay. Councilors who vote most suddenly appear closer together. Interesting. Outdoor skating rinks. Parking tickets. Now, these are limited data sets. It only goes from 2017 to 2020. So these are just various experiments, right? Where people have actually taken this data and done something with it. And it's all based on app or on data that they got from the Toronto Open Data Portal, which when I first saw this, it just made me realize, oh, I could do this too. I mean, you saw like the page that I had earlier, right? Where is it here? There's 518 data sets on just about everything. And I'm sure that if you also ask for a freedom of information request, the city would have to provide it to you. Now that costs money, obviously, and there's a whole process to it, but nonetheless, there's all this data. All it takes is just collecting it, aggregating it, and then making it into something useful, which would actually be pretty fucking cool. Like if I could know exactly like which condos are going up in my neighborhood or which person is running for which school board seat, and I can look up their socials to see what their point of view is on certain things. Like, yeah, that would be good. That would be good to know. You can keep these people accountable. Otherwise, we don't hear about the elections or the people that don't have the best interest of your community in mind, yet they still vote against the interests of the community or what have you. Having some kind of a not a feedback loop, I guess, is one way to put it, but having any kind of feedback from your environment in that way is incredibly useful. There's so much that can be done with that. And just so much fuckery that we can just put to a stop if we actually knew what was going on in the city. Right? You'd launch this app once a week, figure out what's happening in the city, what's happening in your area, rather. You know? Of any social causes or what have you. And boost the level of social engagement that people have. Because, like, as nice as it is to talk about these big overarching things, right, and all these political scandals, all that talk doesn't really do shit. Doesn't do anything. Doesn't go anywhere. It's nice to yap. Yeah, it's great. Sure. To a point. You know, one thing, especially like having studied sociology in university, I realized is like there's only so much emphasis on theory and discussion and discourse that you can put until you have to really look in the mirror and be like, okay, well, maybe it's actually time to do something. Right? Like, life doesn't change by people just reading the news and complaining to each other all the time. It doesn't, like, there's nothing that happens there. That's a vacuum. That's a trap that you can get caught up in, which I have myself, admittedly, and it's an ugly one. Very easy to fall into. Very tempting. It's fun. It's fun. It's fun to like look up scandals and to be outraged. You know, some of the episodes at the beginning of this podcast were essentially like that, where James and I would just sit here and do that. But it's fruitless. Besides getting something off your chest or being aware of what's going on, not really much you can do about it. Like realistically, if we wake up tomorrow and the interest rates either rise or drop, like that's not up to us. you know, we're just kind of left to react to it. So it's good to know to stay prepared. But beyond that, is it really all that useful information? You know, having an understanding of social issues, sure, yeah, that's useful to know how to prep for the future and how to act accordingly and position yourself in a way to give yourself the most benefit and the most benefit for the ones you love. Sure. But there has to be something more to that. There has to be some higher level of political engagement that we can actually get into that actually makes a direct impact on our environments. Like, there's no way in 2025 there can't be an app that allows people to do that. So, in any case, I reached out to the people that run the open data portal for suggestions, and they gave me some great ideas. I've sent out an email to all my city councilors in the city, asking them for some time to sit down for an interview, to essentially just get their input on what people care about. Because the way that I see it is, in order for this platform to work, as I'm starting it right now, I would need to first gain an understanding of what are the issues that people care about and why do they care about them, right? If there's some kind of a pattern I can suss out between demographics and the issues that not only affect them the most, but the ones that they care the most, and if there's any correlation in between the two. Because you could really care about something, but it doesn't really affect you, right? Like the whole trans idea, like all this stuff, right? The ideology of sex, if I can call it that, has permeated just about every single discussion, every single topic, just about every single angle of society, and it's almost inescapable. Everyone has to have an opinion on it, and it's how you actually signal to the in group or the out group, depending on which side you belong, right? Like that's kind of like a red flag if somebody's leaning too hard one way or another into that, because it's an ideology, and that's what happens with ideologies. They poison the mind. And this goes like for all ideologies, like regardless. If you're dogmatic, you're closing yourself off to a part of the world that is more nuanced, which is most of the world, right? It's just because you don't agree with like with allowing children to get these surgeries or these procedures or what have you. It's like doesn't mean that you hate them. Doesn't mean that you want them to die, and yet that's what people are labeled as. It's like, well, no, it's not that like negative. Like the average person doesn't care all that deeply about it. They're not like, oh, I hope they fucking die. Like who? Like what percentage of people actually think like that? Like Jesus Christ, what a hateful perspective to have. I have a hard time believing that, you know. And so, anyways, those kind of discussions permeate everything. But like, how likely is any one of us to transition? It's like a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of the people that actually do, where like it actually matters to them and it's life changing and it's their identity. It's who they were all along. They just didn't have the means to be that person or what have you. It's such a small percentage of the population, and yet it's blown up to this giant fucking issue because it's a great like pedestal to preach on, right? Like, oh my god, you wouldn't let fucking children take hormones? Oh my god, you're so awful. Yeah, no, definitely. Children, yeah, children should be able to transition before they can smoke cigarettes and get a tattoo and drink, for sure, and go to the army. Yes, 100%. All those other decisions, they take a certain mind, but when you know when you need to transition, that's when you know. That's when you know. You got to follow your feelings. Got to follow your feelings. Um, I'm being facetious, but in any case, right? But like that issue, that doesn't really matter. This is my point. It doesn't really affect the average person, and yet it's everywhere. It's noise. It ends up just being noise. It gets in the way of any productive thinking. People use it to derail entire arguments. They use it to defame people. I wouldn't be surprised if all of that audio right there gets clipped as some fucking anti-trans rhetoric, which it isn't. Like, I didn't say anything that any rational person would misconstrue as anti-trans. Like, by all means, man, like, do whatever you like. Just don't involve kids in it. That's really my take on it. But in any case, right? Like, even I had to like add my own take to this fucking thing just because it's so the whole thing is so infectious. It has to be. You have to give a caveat whenever any of these topics fucking come up, just so that people aren't like, "Oh my god, this fucking bigot! Look at this fucking bigot! Oh my god!" So yeah, I wanna cut noise. I want to cut the amount of noise that exists in the political process. I want to make it clean, easy to understand, and give people steps to actually do some cool shit and affect their neighborhood and have agency and care about where they live and pick up after themselves and clean their block and participate and volunteer and just do stuff. Just do stuff. Because you can just do stuff. That's the white pill way. You can just do stuff. I'm gonna say that till the fucking day I die. In any case, there's a lot of these resources, right? There's even some on the Toronto Police. They have a whole portal. They have all these angles for data analytics, major crime indicators, shooting and firearm discharge, homicide, assault. Like, look at all this data. Hate crimes. Oh, hell yeah. You know what? Let's see the hate crimes page. How's their, is there a map? It's gotta be a map, right? Also, let me turn off this dark mode. Oh, God, I'm blinded. Oh, okay, there's a crime map. Yes, I understand. Proceed. Interesting. What's the filter? Let's go from today to... Fuck it, 1930. Crime category. Bike theft. Really? No way this is all the bike theft. Are you serious? Oh, is it lagging because I'm voting? I'm getting it from 1930? All right, hold on. Let's do 2000. Really? No way this many bike... No, it's got to be way more that have been stolen since then. Are you kidding me? There's no fucking way. Who the hell steals a bike all the way up here? What is wrong? Oh my... What the fuck? Where is that? It's like in the middle of... Oh my... In like the suburbs. What is wrong with you? Unfortunate. In any case, open data. There's a ton of this data out there. And all it takes is an aggregate. So yeah, I've reached out to the politicians. Right. My apologies. I'm going in loops here, but the whole purpose is to find out what people care about the most and whether or not that actually correlates with what affects them the most. And then pick a group of issues, maybe like 3-4 things that can kind of unite Torontonians around a topic. And then slowly build out the platform with like some kind of an algorithm or an LLM that I have no idea how I would even make that. I don't even know how I'd approach that, but I want to build it. And there's plenty of open source stuff out there. So I am hopeful that I'll be able to build it as AI gets better and better and better. Fuck it, I could just vibe code this whole fucking thing. Hopefully, because I've never written a single line of code in my life. But hey, where there's a will, there's a way. So yeah, eventually build out the platform, have an algorithm that's able to recommend stuff to you depending on your age range and what you're interested in and so on and so forth. And then I would go out to a small city. I would try to find a city where this data also exists. which it does actually. The last time I looked it up, there was a city. I think there was a city up north. Government website that keeps track municipal Ontario government website that keeps track of conflicts of interest for politicians. There's a website that I think I showed last stream where it was, as I searched here, there's a website that tracked the conflicts of interest that various politicians had because they had to self-declare it. I think that's, yeah, Town of Essex. Declaration of Interest Registry. Yeah, the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act requires municipalities to maintain a registry of all disclosures of conflicts of interest made under this act. There's all these declarations. Oh, this is a different town. But in any case, yeah, since 2019. Look at this. All this, right? And what is the town of Essex? Right, where's the town hall? Town of Essex. Let's look it up. And actually, meanwhile, tell me about... Let's see what their population is. Town of Essex. Oh my god, they're so small. Look at this. My god. Oh, that's literally bordering... Yeah, it's bordering, almost bordering Detroit. That's crazy. Look at them. They're so small. How many schools do they have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have 5 schools. How many libraries do they? Or actually movie theaters. They don't even have a movie theater. They have a Canadian Tire. How many LCB? They gotta have an LCBO. No way. Oh wait, hold on. No. They got it. Yeah, there you go. Jesus, I was gonna say if they didn't have an LCBO, holy shit. Do they have a beer store? Oh, you gotta have a beer. Yeah, you goddamn right. You gotta have a beer store. And a Circle K. Let's go. Do they have McDonald's? They gotta have McDonald's. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, see? Small town though. Small as shit. I mean, look at it. It's a satellite. It's mostly just houses. And farm fields. Yeah. One no frills. Yeah, a bunch of small businesses, some suburbs. I guess it's just country 11. Right? What is the population? Tell me about the town of Essex in Ontario. Population, main industry, etc. Let's see what this says. Alrighty. Population of 20,000. So look, even if a population of a town that has 20,000 people has a website where people declare their conflicts of interest, there's data to be mined here. There's data to be mined here. And not only that, but the Canadian census has plenty of data. Right? So I'd have to pick a town that has enough of this kind of infrastructure where they keep track of certain data points and so that I can use this data to aggregate for stuff that actually like people actually give a shit about. And if I set a threshold, right, for that town, something like improving attendance in the local meetings, or participation in the local meetings, or any kind of metric that would essentially show that this platform is able to get more people interested in the civic political process, right? And then take it to a larger municipality and show them the test cases where this has been successful. I think that would be a good way of going about it, at least for now. We're a long ways away from that, but this is getting worked on actively, and I'm gonna be doing podcasts like this where I essentially I work on building it. At the moment, as it stands, I've split up all the different issues that people could care about. Like, here, let me open up my notes here. So, like transportation, water and sanitation, energy, waste management, housing, telecommunications, healthcare, education, public safety, governance and civic services, green spaces, sustainable urban systems. Now, obviously, this works much better in a metropolis like Toronto. So this is why I'm starting the initial brainstorming stage from this point of view, because the penultimate example, right, of a city with open data resources will give me an idea of what kind of data I could actually track and aggregate, and then use chunks of that to go into a small town and make that use case. Because making something like this for the entire city of Toronto all at once is going to be a fucking nightmare. I mean, if I just look at the amount of schools, right? Like, let's say we're just tracking something as simple, just one topic, right? One topic, right? Let's say I just do school. Show me every school. I don't know. Show me every school. Hold on. TDSB map. Entire city map. Like, if I was to track as something just as, not as simple, but just one of these topics, right? Like just the schools. Like, where does it even, look at this list. All these schools here. Well, these facilities, rather. Right? There's how many? Gee, this PDF is fucking lagging as I'm scrolling through it. How big is this thing? Jesus Christ. Let me actually see. Give me 1 second. Three megabytes. Okay, that's pretty big for a PDF. That's pretty big. That's pretty damn big. So yeah, I guess all these little spaces, these are the actual schools. Yeah. Yeah, I figured as much. All right, are we okay, PDF? Are we okay? Jesus. Yeah, look at this. And how many representatives per school? How many teachers per school? How many data points per school? And how many neighborhoods? Like, there's what, 10 million people that live in the city? Or 7 million? What is the population in Toronto? Oh, my mistake. I am way off. It's not even 3 million. Largest city in Canada. Whoa. Interesting. I figured it'd be way more. In any case, right? Even tracking something as simple as schools, or not simple, but something as clear as schools and school elections is hard enough. Because, does the TDSB even have school board elections? Do they even have any tracking data for this? Oh, they do. Election meeting flyer template. Oh, okay, sorry, that's a template. That's a template. That's a template. School council election process. Well, where's the where can I actually track it? Hold on. To review a school council bylaw sample? No. Right, but where can I actually see? Or even, you know what? The financials. Financial webinar. What the fuck? School council funds. How about that? School financial guide. Public sector accounting board template. Webinar. No. Where if I wanted to see stats? How to get involved. That's why. Parents and caregivers, student well-being, engagement, school councils, bylaws, members, school messenger. What's this? Communication tool used by TDSB to share information. Oh, okay, gotcha. Financials. This puts me back to here. What the fuck? Wait, so hold on. All right, let's look for this example. If we're talking about schools, where can I go to see how the budget of the TDSB is spent? Because recently they had an announcement where, what was it, TDSB budget cut? They had some news where, like, yeah, they proposed cuts to music education for kids. They're grappling with a $58 million deficit, so they're like, fuck it, let's take the instruments away from kids. Like, what's wrong with you? Why would you do that? You can't find any other way to cut costs or to raise funds? Like, what the fuck? Taking instruments from kids? Here's comprehensive breakdown, report breakdowns, revenue sources, expenditure trends. Okay, but where is this? Where's this from? Portals. It's from portals. Okay, I don't like that I can't navigate that. That's not cool. What about the budget? There we go. Yeah, see, stuff like this. But where can I actually go to see... Okay, where can I actually go to see TDSB school board election information, specifically who gets voted in and the breakdown of the votes per school? Because there's got to be something here. Well, that's the Ward 11 by-election results. I guess for elections I have to go here. Okay, so... Charles School Board, Ward 11. I wonder why it's Ward 11. It's very strange. Let's see here. Unofficial resulting from technical media staff set the election results. General election, school trustee office. I guess this is it. Yeah, and here are the results. Faith Goldie ran for mayor? What? No way. That's funny. I didn't know she ran for mayor in 2018. Wow. The balls on that lady. Good for her. Michael Ford. Who's Michael? Is he one of the Ford brothers? Interesting. In any case, right? Like look at how far I had to go to get that data. So we can aggregate it. And yeah, for volunteering, I figured it would also be a good idea to include some volunteering for like churches, local volunteering orgs, homeless shelters, youth programs, animal shelters. Because there's plenty of different ways that people can get volunteer. Like it doesn't mean that you have to go to a soup kitchen. I know that there's a place in Toronto that you can just drop off baked goods. Toronto homeless charity that takes baked goods as donations. Like, this is actually a good thing for people that are like getting into baking and you want to have the largest impact on the most amount of people. And what I mean is, you shouldn't fucking try to bake your fucking snickerdoodles and then when they're burnt, give them to the homeless. That's not that's not at all what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if you like to bake, right, which is actually like relatively cheap if you make like something like bread or even basic like brownies or cookies or what have you, and you want to do your part for the community, you could just bake some goods and drop them off, right? And food banks too. There's a lot of food banks that take that kind of stuff. Um, like I've taken up baking bread just because it's gotten way more expensive at the grocery store, but I've actually realized just how cheap it is. You can actually make bread for very very cheap, and it's good bread, not just like white. You can add some whole wheat in it. You could even get some sourdough going. It's fucking awesome. Highly recommend it. It's a great little hobby to have, and it doesn't even take all that much time to learn or anything. But in any case, yeah, like there's initiatives like this, or the fact that we all have like clothing lying around in our closets that we know could very well be worn by somebody else. You know, that could actually go to use instead of just lying in there. You know, imagine if you had an app that could just like give you like a little checklist, like, hey, here's all the things that you could do to help. Look around the house, maybe you have some stuff to donate, or what have you. Right? All of that is it's not just nice to have, and these aren't just like cutesy things that people should do. Like it's absolutely necessary. Because otherwise we're abdicating our responsibility. We're letting our neighborhoods die. We're letting the social contract die anytime that we don't participate in it. Like there have been so many videos that I've seen of people in the city, like fucking let me see here. Toronto streetcar smoking. Like, oh great, this is nice. On the Toronto streetcar. Dude straight up just fucking balling up. Oh, that's cool. Oh, dude, you're so cool. You're so fucking cool, dude. Holy shit, dude. You're so, just browsing your phone, just chilling there. Whoa. Oh, wait. Oh, this is Chicago. My mistake. Sorry. That's Chicago. Where's the Toronto video? Because there's a Toronto one. Oh, cool. Guy smoking crack inside Union Station. Just like this is like a fucking like a Black Mirror episode. That's like an expensive ass coffee shop, and you're just chilling there smoking crack. This is the first place that people like get off to see in the city. You arrive at Union Station, like either from the airport or from a train from elsewhere, and this is what the impression that people have of the city. Like, really? Oh, here's another one. Oh, that's great. That's sick. Oh, he's just passing it. Oh, wow. Wow, that's great. That's awesome. Oh, more meth. That's lovely. That's great. This is just being done out in the open. And I'm not saying that to be unsympathetic to these people. I don't know what it's like to be addicted to drugs on this level and to think that you're perfectly fine doing this. I mean, what kind of lack of social awareness would it would take to be that kind of person? I don't presume to know how hard it is to go through that and to live on the streets and all that. But that doesn't mean that we should just tolerate shit like this. And we have been for too long. And a good functioning society cannot have this as part of its modus operandi. Because like here, oh yeah, here it is. Here's an example of what happens when some dude just asks him to stop.
What are you doing? Just put out the joint. What the fuck are you doing? Put out the joint.
And nobody's doing anything. Oh, there we go. And oh, he says enough. He says enough. Like, really? Are you serious? No, this is nuts. We can't allow shit like this to happen. We cannot allow the social contract to degrade just because people have forgotten to get involved. Right? Like we especially in this city, this is one of the concepts that you learn in sociology, and especially in the city, when you are exposed to so much, right? You see, like, just walk down some of the streets in an urban city at late night, and you'll just see like the worst of the worst of the worst, like barely 18-year-old girls whoring themselves out on corners, crack cocaine being used out in the open, dealt out in the open. Meanwhile, there's a mom with a baby stroller passing by. People that have lost complete control of their mental and physical facilities. Just zombie ghosts of themselves. Dude, I was going to a concert with a friend of mine the other day. We're biking underneath this underpass near a fairly well-to-do off area where people, like, there's like condos and everything, and right underneath that there's a bridge where these homeless people live in their tents, and this one guy had a fire in his tent, inside of the tent, not like outside by some rocks and like bricks, or like the classic like movie trope where you see a hobo with like an oil barrel. No, literally inside his tent. Like, you're gonna cause a fire, sir. You're gonna cause an incident. Like, it's literally only a matter of time. All right, and this is happening everywhere. And part of it is because in the city you can't. If you gave your energy to every single little crisis that you saw, you would wipe yourself out by the end of the day. Not even in a matter of hours. And some of these people are so far gone that, like, there's no amount of charity that can help. They're literally just mentally unstable, roaming these streets, and they need to get the help that they need. But that help is not going to come from you being like, "Hey, you want this sandwich?" Like, no, there's some people that have absolutely lost it, and my heart goes out to them. It's tragic. Those people were someone's kid at one point. They were a baby at one point. They weren't always this. They were someone's child. They were cared for. They were loved. Right? Or at least you'd like to think so. And so part of this issue, if that's even the right word for it, that the social contract has kind of gone into disarray because this homelessness is just, it's allowed to exist, and there's not really any systems that are effective at tackling this. It doesn't seem like it. Seems like the issue is getting worse year in, year out. Like, growing up, it was not like this. Growing up, you would see the occasional, like, crazy homeless guy, and I lived in a fairly, like, urban part of the city. But they were never, like, outrightly dangerous to you. On occasion, you'd go downtown and you'd hear somebody yelling, but now it's like almost every day you go in the city and there's just some dude slumped over in the bike lane, or needles, or crack. Dude, I was at a fucking, where was I? I was at a university the other day, and they had like a needle depot inside a disabled person's bathroom. It's like, what the are you at a university? You just have like a little bin for people to put their needles in? I mean, that's just indicative of the times. The place that I work at right now has an Narcan kit. The bars I used to work at, obviously, oh yeah, the bars. Yeah, they had a Narcan kit. It just became a regular thing. Like, when I was at Solana Startup Village, one of the great things about like what they've done is I got reminded of what it's like to be in a place where the social contract, or the value of that social contract, was high, very high. Maybe not above everything, but it was damned high. Like, shout out to Super Team for making that happen. Because at their let me see if I can actually pull up some photos of this. Because they definitely should have, I guess it'd be Super Team Canada. Let's see if they have a walkthrough of this space. So they have all these computers, right? Let me make that 2000p. So they have all this space where people can just like walk in, chill. They have these conference rooms. Where's the actual co-working space? No, this is all, like all the chill stuff. Where's okay? See, like monitors, right? Like so, these monitors they had set up for people. You can just walk in, plug in, and you're good to go. You just sit down and that's it. You want to go get a snack, get a coffee, whatever. Like, yeah, by all means, just leave your computer there. Nobody would touch it. Nobody would touch it. You'd come back an hour later, your stuff is still there, right? And in a city like Toronto, I would never dream of doing this at the library. I would never dream of doing this in a cafe or anywhere else. Even at a university, I wouldn't dream of doing that if I was a university student. Fuck no. Are you kidding me? I'm taking that shit with me. This is Toronto, man. And when I was in a place like this, it reminded me of like the value of that social contract. Because everyone there, I mean, not only are there like security cams and whatnot, sure, okay, but if you're enterprising enough, like if you were smart enough, you could have walked in there and walked out with a ton of MacBooks. And as long as like you weren't visible or seen or you just had like good timing, you would have been able to get away with a lot of tech. A lot of it. Right? If somebody was actually devious enough to do that. But no, it's an open space. Yeah, see like all these monitors and stuff. Yeah, these workstations are fantastic. They're fucking amazing. And so that social contract has value. Like where's that there's that one video of what was it? It was a ski resort or something? I don't know if I'm going to pull it up. There's a video of a ski resort and this black snowboarder. No, that's a ski strike. There's a video I saw a while back of this black snowboarder just being amazed at the fact that he was in this European place and he's like, "Oh my god, like not at all in America. I don't have to worry about this." And I don't even know what the rate of like theft is of like these places in America, but in any case, like that it echoed to me the values of having a shared social contract of agreed upon values that people understand and uphold actively. There's a value in that. It allows you more mobility. It allows you more ease. You're not worried or stressed out as much when you're going on the fucking subway system and you're worried about delays because somebody decided to get on the tracks or somebody got pushed or somebody got stabbed or somebody got robbed or somebody like whatever, overdose, what have you. It didn't used to be common in Toronto that you would see a guy passed out on the bus or on the subway. But now it's like almost every other car that you go to, there's somebody like that or just drinking heavily. It's not comforting at all. And look, like I said, I feel for these people. They ought to get the help that they need, but them hanging around at the subway station, and especially those that are mentally ill to the point where they are a danger to themselves. Like the amount of people I've seen like go around, wave their arms or yell angrily at people or just get into arguments for no reason. Those people are just a ticking time bomb. Like all those, like it was funny and all, right, to see those guys smoke crack and whatnot. Yeah, crack doesn't make you a friendly person. I don't know if anyone's been around that many people that have smoked crack before. I don't think I have. I don't even think I've been around people that smoke like cocaine or meth or anything like that. But from what I've heard, it's not exactly a pleasant experience. You don't exactly turn into like a fun-loving guy, you know? Like that shit makes you go crazy. And if you're already crazy, that only adds to it. So yeah, like the revitalization of the social contract is a must. It's a must. It has to exist. It has to exist. And it does exist in Canada too, like in a lot of communities, in a lot of places. And I'm blessed to live in a place where even with all these negative things that I've mentioned, if you're stuck on the side of the road, downtown or what have you, and it's snowing, people will come and they will help. People will come and they will help, and that is one of the things that I love about the Canadian spirit, is that that's the reputation that we have, because that's what people do, and it's great. It's great to live in a country like that, and I want that kind of approach to civil society to spread and flourish to as many places as possible, because it's incredible. Being able to count on your neighbors, to count on the people in your community, to just count on random people, passerbys that will help and intervene. It's a very, very useful thing, because then you don't have to wait for the cops. Like, obviously, like, there's a threshold to it. If it gets violent or what have you, yeah, okay. Like, not everybody knows judo and street fights are bad and so on and so forth. But that's a given. All right, but like small stuff. You got a flat, need somebody to like help change your tire. Like, those are some of the greatest videos ever. Just like watching people on the highway be stranded, and they're like, "Oh my god, please, the CAA isn't getting here for another 2 hours. Jesus Christ, somebody save me!" And then somebody does. Those are great videos, man. Those are some of the greatest examples of people just helping out one another for the sake of it, and having something that'll remind us that, like, why that's important, and why it's important to participate like that in your community, and to be a helpful person, to be a capable person, to make yourself into somebody that is an example for everyone else around you. That's invaluable. That removes so many barriers and allows for the whole community, like the quality of that community, to rise. Because rising tides, what is that? What is that phrase? Because I don't want to butcher this. A rising tide lifts all ships. Yeah, a rising tide lifts all boats. We all benefit from it. We all do. And it's so easy to take for granted sometimes, because there's plenty of other places in the world where you live where people don't give a shit. They don't care about you. They have their own problems. They wouldn't spit on you if you were on fire. And being able to create that kind of culture that combats that, and that actually emphasizes on including people in the civil process, and actively celebrates it and cultivates that spirit, that's beautiful. That's nothing short of beautiful. Being able to count on a stranger when you're at your worst, or at your lowest, or you just need a helping hand, on just somebody that you don't even know. We've all had those moments, or at least I hope so, because there's nothing better than that. In that moment, you're just like, "Oh my god, thank you. You saved my ass, and I will never ever ever see you again, but thank you." Like, that's great. We should, and I think it's something that everyone should strive towards making an ideal. And doing something as simple as just like picking up the trash around your neighborhood, that's that's a great enough initiative on its own. You don't need to like go out and vote, or to raise funds, or like just pick up trash in your neighborhood. Any time that I've done it, it fills you with like a sense of pride, because you're like, "Oh, I did that. I cleaned that." And even though like there might be a cigarette butt the next day where it wasn't earlier, okay, fine. But that just means like, okay, well, I gotta clean it up again. And the more that you do it, maybe someone else will do it, and they'll get inspired to do that as well. And I get it. This sounds fucking cheesy, corny. Okay, fine. But it's true. It doesn't take away from the fact that it's true. That participating in those kind of activities creates that dynamic of the rising tide lifts all boats. Yeah, sounds a little gay. Sounds a little gay. But is it what, like, we're all in high school still, and it's too gay to caring is gay? Like, real? No, come on. We can't have that instinct. Because when shit goes down, when real shit goes down, if the power's ever out, if the water's ever out, we're gonna have to rely on our neighbors. You're left with no other choice. And if you live in a neighborhood where you don't know anybody, you haven't made any connections, you don't really know the people around you, it's that much harder. It's that much harder to rely on them. So in any case, that's it's my little spiel. Yeah, so the Whitepill project, part of that is this platform where I don't know what this is gonna look like. I don't know what the timeline is, but I'm gonna keep working on it because I know that this is something that's valuable and that a lot of people would benefit from, myself included. And it actually reminds me, one of the interesting things that I realized is an instinct that I should lean into more, and people in general. It seems as though frustration is a great is a great place of inspiration. Like, because when you're frustrated with a problem, regardless of what it may be, right, and you want to solve it, if you go just one step further, being like, oh, I can actually turn this into something that could solve that problem for a lot of people, not just me. Because chances are, if you're having that problem, somebody else has had it before. And being able to come at it from a position of, okay, let me build something that I can benefit from, but that will, in extension, allow other people to benefit from, is like one of the, at least one of the few like fundamental ideas that I've found interviewing all these people that are creating cool shit with crypto. Is they'll think like, man, like how come this doesn't exist, or how come like this problem exists? And they're like, well, why don't I just make it? Why don't I just take the time to make it? Because there's so many resources out there, so many free tools, so many people that you can ask for advice, so many people that are willing to give you the time of day that will actually make that a possibility. Like one of the guys that I interviewed, he was essentially talking about how on pump.fun, right, going back here, there's uh there's a problem with what are called snipers. And snipers are people that will initially, when a coin is launched, they will do their damnedest to enter the market at as much of a favorable position as possible. So if I scroll all the way back here, right, people that will essentially buy the shit out of the coin when it's at 0.02 Sol, and then when it goes up, they'll just dump it, right? Like in this little graph right here. Right, you'll buy here, and then you wait until the market climbs, and then fucking sell off, right? And so he just kept getting frustrated with this because it just essentially made launching a coin or a token for any number of purposes that much more difficult because there's an AI bot that's just circling the net looking for the best margins to buy and sell at, where people can just essentially automatically make money, right? So he made this app where you could create a stopgap measure so that, let's say, for the first 6 or however many hours of launching the coin, the fees to process the transactions, which you can also manually set, uh, would be too high to actually be favorable for a trade. Right, so the AI would go in, or the automated tool would go in, buy the coin, realize, oh, the fees are too high. Fuck it. All right, I'm gonna not buy this coin because it's just not worth it. When in reality, like 6 or however many hours later, you get to proceed with purchasing the coin and the regular fees. So that helps like eliminate that problem. Right? So yet again, another example of somebody being like, huh, that's a very frustrating problem because now creators, people that are actually trying to build cool stuff off of the blockchain here, that are like trying to launch these products, or people that are just, want to make money with an influencer coin, as is their right. Uh, they get obliterated by these snipers who buy early and then they sell off as soon as it, goes high enough and their margins are worth it. And then the whole coin, the whole chart just looks like shit. Right? I mean, this coin is not a good example because it just kept rising. It's at 3.03 Sol. But there's plenty of examples of like, you know what? Let's look at featured. This coin here. Oh, it's still going. It's still going. Let's see if we can find one that's actually gone down. Yeah, like see like this. It buy a ton of supply, and then immediately sold off once it reaches a certain market cap. And now this project, there's a good chance that unless it goes up, it's just going to depreciate in value, and then it's going to go by the wayside. Then it becomes another fucking shit coin. that that just gets absorbed into the pub.fun landscape. Whereas with his app, it allows you to kind of stopgap that. So in any case, frustration. That's a great great source of inspiration I've heard, or I've learned rather. Because even this politics stuff, the reason that I want to build something with this is because I got frustrated with the federal politics. It drives me nuts. Like it's crazy some of the shit that you'll see. I mean, just as a quick little tour, right? Let me see if I can pull it up. No, that's not it. I think this is it. Yeah, that's a real account. Oh wow. Rogue communication devices found in Chinese solar inverters, just like the Chinese made seaport cranes with routers. Huh, that's interesting. That's concerning. Yet another fucking thing to worry about. Oh wow, the Elections Canada published a news release where they talk about how they fucked up some part of the voting in this last federal election that I have no control over. Oh great, that's another thing to get frustrated over. That's fantastic. Oh, here's our environmental minister lying by saying that only 40%, our largest pipeline is only at 40% capacity. And here's somebody fact checking it, saying that its highest volumes to date in March hovered around 790,000 barrels a day, which is actually about 80% capacity. So we just outright lied to justify a policy push. And because the journalist who was asking him that question at the time can't really fact check him in real time, they can't really look up the facts fast enough because, you know, they're just there for this like 2-minute exchange. They weren't able to correct him on it until the next day when they ask him on it. And then he's going to say something else. And then it's this whole fucking cat and mouse game of them just going back and forth and back and forth and back. Like, for example, this is a funny one. I love these like little stories because these are actually hilarious. So former journalist Evan Solomon, this guy right here, who actually used to work for CBC from what I remember, who actually got caught in a scandal with our current prime minister, where he was, I think he was selling him paintings at a discount or some shit, or introducing him to the sellers. Like, what's the Evan Solomon scandal? Let's look it up here so that I'm not just talking shit. Yeah, it was fired in 2015 after it was revealed he used his position to broker art deals and take secret commissions from wealthy individuals he interviewed on his shows. So he would interview people on his show on CBC and then use that connection to broker art deals and take commissions from that, a finder's fee. And now this guy is the first ever federal AI minister who also, during the election, posted this image or retweeted it from a fake account called Mark Carney's Ego that says retard bus and World Economic Forum. Like, this journalist retweeted this photo, not thinking anything of it because he didn't fucking care to read or look into it. And this is the guy that's head of AI safety? The first federal AI minister? Really? This guy with his sharp eye and also with, like, had a huge conflict of interest working for the national newspaper, national media conglomerate, the government owned media. Like, yeah, like I can't be bothered because when I read shit like this, it's just infuriating and it reminds me like, oh, this is just, it's just noise. It's just noise. And besides that, like, look, she got 180K followers, plenty of people that are already doing the good work of like keeping these people accountable. So unless you're going to be a journalist, like, this shit just does not matter. It's just infuriating. Depending on, like, regardless of which side you are either. You could be on the left or the right and look at stories like that and just be like, oh my God, these fucking absolute retards that are running the country. Genuinely impressed at how they're managed to fail upwards every single fucking time. Like, yeah, these issues, they don't actually matter. None of us have control over it. It's good to just keep in mind. It's good to stay in touch from what I've learned, you know, to understand what's going on. Like, yeah, it's actually good to know that our AI minister did that. Like, that's actually very good, like, very useful piece of information. But, you know, Like, what does it actually do for you? You know, it just whips you up into a frenzy. Or they'll probably go on ground.news. Oh, Putin will not attend Ukraine peace talks in Turkey. Who cares? Who gives a shit? BC Premier announces trade mission to Asia, but not to China. Oh. Like, all of this coverage is just, it's just noise. Not all of it, but a good chunk of it. So yeah, we'll see what happens with the platform as it grows. I'm going to keep you guys posted on the developments of it. Let me just check the stream time here for 2:15. I think we're going to end it off soon. We're getting to 9:30. Another update for the channel. I'm going to be working on setting up donations. So if you like what I do and you want to help out and allow me to escape the wage cage and eventually be able to do stuff like this full time, have cooler guests on, because like I said, I've recorded at least I think 4 or 5 other episodes that I need to edit, so they'll be out hopefully by end of day tomorrow, which is Thursday the 15th of May. I'm gonna have a lot more stuff out in the future. I have a very exciting interview that I wish I could talk more about, but this is something that's gonna be a month or so down the line. Something that's actually, it involves a political crisis abroad, and I might have somebody that could shed some light on that in a very interesting way. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, we're gonna continue growing, man. We're gonna continue growing. We're gonna keep doing this. Work on the platform, get more interesting guests, and yeah, if anyone wants to ever come on the show, by all means, reach out. I'm more than glad to have you on for a conversation. Yeah, besides that, there's not really any other updates I'd like to share. I don't know when I'll be streaming next, most likely next Wednesday, but depending on the schedule, we'll see. All the updates, as per always, you can get at bio.link/whitepill. All the platforms, everything is up there. Still disputing the X ban. Don't know what the fuck is going on with that. I still have received no word from support. I keep submitting appeals, but seems like they're falling on deaf ears. So we're gonna keep trudging along regardless, and see what happens. So yeah, join the Discord. You know, subscribe to the YouTube, Spotify, what have you. Thank you guys for tuning in today. I really appreciate and each and every one of you that has listened this far. Wouldn't be able to do this show without the listeners. So yeah, thank you guys. I will catch you on next week's episode. Hope you have had a wonderful White Pill Wednesday. Looking forward to the next interview. Not sure who it's going to be, but yeah, all the updates are posted on Discord. So if you want to get more updates in terms of episodes, who I'm interviewing, what's coming up next, it's all going to be there. In any case, have a great night, guys.